Hi, dear ones. Namaste. Lisa A. Romano here, the life coach, and today I want to talk about why is it so damn hard for us to feel our damn feelings. It's so interesting because when I do a video about how to feel your feelings, inevitably I get information and emails from viewers who say, I never realized that I was so disassociated from my feelings. It's so hard for me to feel my feelings. And it's very, very sad, but it's a reality that most of us are not walking around really connected to how we feel. We aren't aware of what our boundaries are. We really don't know what makes us us. You know, that question, who am I? We really don't know. I remember the first time somebody asked me, well, who are you? I was like, I'm a PTA mom and I own a business and I'm a daughter. And he said, no, those are the things you do. That's not who you are. I was like, oh, what? What? What does that mean? I was devastated because it really made me realize like, oh, I'm a shell. I'm an it. I'm a thing. I'm not a real person. So what makes a human being a human being? Your feelings. Yeah, your feelings. So without being connected to your feelings, you don't feel like a human being. You feel like a thing. You feel like an it. So you get married because you think you should. And you have kids because everybody's having kids. And you know, you take on this job, you become a cop or a nurse because you think you should. It's a civil job. You know, all these things that we're doing are coming from some intellectual space or from information on the outside, and it's completely disassociated or disconnected to how we feel and perhaps what we would like to experience in our life. So let's talk about, without freaking the hell out, because it's kind of scary when you start to like conceptualize on some observer level, oh, I'm not feeling my feelings. It can be really a scary experience to come into awareness of that. So just relax, dear one. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. I'll help you figure this out. So just sit back and relax. So one of the points I want to make before I teach you this lesson about why it's so hard for us to feel our feelings is I love metaphors, and I love helping people understand very large, complex ideas with very simple ones. And so how do you think someone might feel if they were driving a car and they were a mechanic? Can you imagine the confidence you would feel if you were a car mechanic and you were driving a damn car? You'd feel fabulous. You know, if the check engine light comes on, you don't freak out. You get a flat tire, psh, you got that covered. Your fan belt goes, no problem. Your starter goes, no problem. You got this. You got this because you're a mechanic. So you would obviously feel very, very confident if something went wrong because you understand organically how to take care of this car. A hell of a lot more than I would, that's for sure. Now, if you would take the same type of thinking and address it to somebody who understands how the mind works. Stick with me, dear ones. Healing does not happen just on an emotional level. You need your damn brain to process the feelings. Not understanding how the brain works, not taking into accountability how the brain works, how it was designed to work to keep your ass safe, not understanding this piece of the puzzle is like trying to drive a car but not knowing where to put the key, or even that there's a key in a hole. It's so much easier to embrace the healing journey if you also at the same time adopt an appreciation for how the brain works. I'm getting there. I'm going to teach you about why it's so hard to feel our feelings. Now that's just the basis, right? So if you were a mechanic, you're driving in the car and your check engine light comes on, you feel confident. If you knew how your brain worked and you were on a spiritual healing journey, and you knew how the brain worked, you'd feel a lot more confident. Now let me explain to you why. Okay, so the brain is wired to avoid pain and to seek pleasure. Okay, so if you was a Neanderthal, okay, and you walking around barefoot and you step on a sharp rock, ow, pain. So your brain wants you to avoid that pain. So that pain you would validate as a Neanderthal, and you would begin wrapping perhaps vines around your feet or leaves around your feet. Or you would start taking care of your feet. So the brain avoided the pain and wanted to help you seek relief or pleasure. That's why you felt the pain. And because of the pain, you were able to move away from the pain to pleasure. That kept your feet safe. And that's innate, dear one. So now, hang on. It's going to get interesting. So, imagine if your name is Charlie, or whatever. I'm just saying Charlie. I like that name. So, imagine your name is Charlie. You're 2 years old, and you're walking around your house, and you bump your head. And you feel pain. The natural response of a 2-year-old child is to cry because the baby feels pain. If the baby is born to two functional parents, a male energy and a female energy, that represent him because he is of a female and a male, right? So now externally there's his male, and there's his female, right? Energy that created him. He's got the male and the female energy within him. So Mommy and Daddy are in the kitchen with him, and Mommy hears Charlie cry, and she turns around and she says, "Oh, Charlie, did you bump your head? Poor baby, come here. Let Mommy kiss you. Let Mommy hug you. I'm so sorry. Let me rub. You want some ice, sweetie pie? Honey, get the baby some ice." "Sure, babe, no problem." Daddy goes and he gets the ice. It's a family affair. This is my tribe, and they love me. Everything's great with the world. I cried. They heard my cry. They validated my cry. I'm important. My pain matters. My pain has been relieved. Yada, yada, yada. So the message in Charlie's brain is, bumped my head, felt pain, cried, got validated, mother soothed me, daddy validated me, pain is subsiding, I am now feeling pleasure. So Charlie associated pleasure with expressing his pain. He got relief from expressing his pain. Charlie's pain was validated. Charlie first had to validate that he hurt his head. Then Charlie instinctively cried. Then Mother responded to that cry. So there was Charlie, the pain validates the external experience. Charlie's pain, Charlie himself, the being, cries in response to the pain, more validation. Mother acknowledges and or validates the pain of the cry. Father gets in on it, and now it's a family affair. It's a tribe affair. And this baby is being taken care of through resolution. So Charlie has learned in this very innocuous experience that my pain matters, that it's good to express my pain. Mom and Dad are supposed to validate my experience. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel, even painful feelings. It's okay to cry when I'm in pain. It's okay. And in doing that, I seek and found, or sought and found, pleasure. And then, dear ones, there are no energetic blocks in the baby's body. Before long, Charlie's like, "Can I have an ice pop?" And it's over. It's over. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Mom goes back to mashing her potatoes. Daddy goes out and waters the lawn. Everything's great. Everything's fine. The feeling was felt. It came through the body. It was validated. It was expressed. It was acknowledged. It was nurtured and out into the atmosphere. Beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely wonderful. Hang on. What if, dear one, and this is why it's not fair to judge anybody, and you'll understand why. What if Charlie was born to a mother who was an alcoholic? What if Charlie was born to a father who had very little impulse control and was a narcissist and was impregnating Charlie's mother just to keep her locked up in the kitchen so she couldn't go out and attract other men because she's always fat all the time? And there are men out there. What if that's what this little baby's experience is? And Lord knows there are plenty of us out there and plenty innocent babies right now going through that. Very upsetting to me. So now we're in Charlie's house and the radio's loud, music's loud, it's dirty, it's filthy, he's not taken care of, he's hungry, and he bumps his head. Mom's an alcoholic. Mom's pissed off. Charlie's irritating her. He cries. And Mom says something like, "What you crying up for? You better shut your mouth. You better go in the other room and cry. Babe, shut his mouth up. Get that kid to shut up. Shut up. You want to cry? Come over here and I'll give you something to cry. Shut your mouth, boy." And what if, when Charlie cried because he bumped his head, his father came over and smacked him upside his head or threw him up against a wall? What does Charlie learn about expressing his pain then? Think about it. Charlie's brain is wired to avoid pain. When Charlie bumped his head, he was in pain. Then Charlie expressed that pain. And what did Charlie experience? More pain. More pain. From the male and the female energy that created him. He felt rejected. And so he thus begins to reject himself because it is too painful to put out what we feel and to be rejected. It's too painful. It's more painful to have these two people who are God to us, reject our pain and tell us that we have no right to feel what we feel, or make fun of us, or make us feel like we are a problem because we've expressed that pain. It hurts less. Now go back to the way the brain is wired. The brain is wired to avoid pain. What is Charlie going to do when he has a stomach ache later on that night? Do you think that Charlie's going to crawl out of bed and tug on his mommy's bed, in the middle of the morning and say, "Mama, I don't feel good"? Or do you think that Charlie's going to cry or want to cry when his stomach hurts? Do you think when Charlie's 5 or 6 and he's getting his ass kicked in first grade or kindergarten, you think he's going to tell his mom? No. Charlie is going to be afraid to express himself. He's going to be afraid to tell people how he feels. Now, there are other Now, that's how the brain works organically. Psychologically, there are stages of a development that we have to go through. Trust versus mistrust. We have to learn that the world is a safe place. We have to learn that our internal experience is safe. If we learn that it's not safe to feel, we don't learn to trust. We don't learn to trust our feelings. We don't learn to trust our self-worth. We don't learn to trust other people. Now, what I'm trying to help you understand is that you have to understand the brain organically, and then you have to understand the psychology of a human being and the emotional stages of development that we all have to pass through in order to feel whole, integrated human beings. And so it's difficult for us to feel our feelings because one of the reasons may be because when we were children, when we tried to express our feelings, we were treated with indifference, and that hurt more than expressing our feelings. And so our brain, to protect us, taught us, don't say that. Don't express that. Don't feel that. Push that down. Push that down. Stuff it. Stuff it. Push it down. Don't feel that. Don't feel that. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. There are plenty of us who go to school with upset stomachs and our parents never know. There are plenty of us who, I remember that I was 12, I was swinging on a swing, a park swing. Back in the day, we had metal swings. I don't know if they have them everywhere all over the country or the world, but in Queens, we had these metal swings. And my best friend at the time was, we were doing the up and down thing, so she was in front of me, and we were swinging back and forth. And her best friend, so she didn't know that she was my best friend, but another girl got jealous that she and I were so silly, stupid, but she was jealous that I was on the swing with her friend, and she chucked a swing at me while I was in flight, and the corner of the other metal swing clipped the top of my head, and I had a gash in my head. And I hit the ground, and I mean, literally, blood. The scalp bleeds so much. I mean, there was blood all over my face, my bra, my underwear. I mean, they raced me home. By the time I got home, I was covered in blood. I never told my mother. I was afraid to tell my mother. I thought, oh my God, well, she's going to say, what did you do? I just did not have. Now, that's not because my mom wouldn't have taken care of it. It is. But it's because very early on in my emotional stages of development, I did not learn to trust her. I did not learn to trust myself. I did not learn to trust that I had a right to tell people I was in pain, because I was taught in big ways and small ways that my pain was irrelevant. And so expressing that pain freaked my brain the hell out. So my brain, trying to protect me, was sending me signals to shunt the pain, don't acknowledge the pain, push it down, push it down, push it down. Because it hurt less to express than it did to tell them more. And so that's just organic. So what happens now when we're adults? We're adults, and a long time ago, we created a limiting belief in our subconscious mind that has us believing and fearing expressing our feelings. We have so much pain associated with telling people how we feel that we've disassociated from being able to even connect to how we feel. Now, the other issue is that I feel that in order for a child to learn the proper process of integration, a parent needs to teach a child to validate their internal experience. So if child A, Charlie A, comes from a healthy home, he has been taught how to integrate, how to acknowledge how he feels and express it. Now, child B from a messed up house has been invalidated. And in teaching that child to invalidate the feelings that he feels, his parents have thus literally brainwashed him to invalidate his feelings. He has been brainwashed to disconnect from that which he feels. It is not his fault. It's not his fault. If you was 50 years old or 70 years old and you don't know how to feel your feelings, dear one, that's not your fault. That happened a long time ago. And I'm here to tell you, we can go back and rewind the tape and rewire the brain. We can do it. It takes some work, but it can be done. Because if you don't do this work and you don't figure out how to feel, you're going to be depressed. You're going to be full of repressed rage. You're going to be angry. You're going to be irritable. You're going to be aloof. Sometimes almost like, are you alive? You have a pulse? You ever meet some people like that? Like, how you doing? Fine. You sure? Absolutely. Why don't you think I'm fine? They're robotic. Not their fault. Not their fault. The hope is that they're able to like unfreeze them, you know? Not everybody's that lucky. But, you know, people like me and many other great teachers out there like Ross Rosenberg, Melody Beattie, Pia Melody, wonderful teachers. A lot of Buddhist teachers these days are teaching this type of stuff. They just have a different lingo, different language. One of the things that I also wanted to mention is that, you know, it's sort of like this on the same wavelength. I really believe that we as human beings have got to learn to have compassion for the innate self. And I'll tell you why. Because if I don't have compassion for me, I'll never be able to have compassion for you. Lots of us want to judge people that we see on television. And I am against the damn media because it's propaganda and it's one-sided, and it's all about, in my opinion, unfortunately, ratings, and sometimes very opportunistic news people, news anchors that want to grab the latest tantalizing headline and exploit what's happening in the media, exploit people for that purpose. So I'm against it. Now, those of you who are still on the channel, listen to me. This is pretty cool. People that seem to have no feelings for other people, in my opinion, sometimes come from homes who have lacked compassion and empathy. Okay? So if you've got a 3-year-old boy and this 3-year-old boy has been locked in a closet and fed fish heads to keep him alive, and every once in a while the kid's taken out of the closet so you could beat him or whatever. If you take children who have been beaten and beaten and beaten and beaten and ignored and treated like garbage, and you as parents talk to them like they're nothing, what'll happen is that child will learn to believe he or she is nothing. And in order to survive the experience, that child will become very, very hard. And to save that child's self, that child will flee into himself because the brain is wired to avoid pain. So it's much easier for a child, when the abuse is that extensive, what the brain will do, in my opinion, will hide this inner child so deep within that the conscious mind has no understanding of innocence within, because that would be too painful to imagine. That to see myself as an innocent being being beaten would make me susceptible and vulnerable to the pain in which is being inflicted. So it would be much easier for me to go cold and go solid and to eventually tap into rage and retaliation and eventually become a perpetrator and hurt people the way I've been hurt. If we can't take that person and help them develop compassion for the abuse that they've suffered, we cannot expect that type of a person to have compassion for the fellow man. Ain't gonna happen. And the answer cannot be to continually condemn and judge. The answer must be, we must somehow as a society begin filtering, and I think we are, begin filtering in the idea that people are recycling their childhood dramas. And so pedophiles, in most cases, are repeating the trauma that they experienced. That's what they're doing. And so if we were able to help someone that has been severely traumatized as a child, who is now as an adult caught in the perpetual cycle of now doing this to other people, the goal would be to help that person come into awareness of what happened to him or her, and to help them successfully integrate the pain and validate their experience and help them learn to have compassion for the inner child. Again, I'm not religious, but Scripture says, seek the child within. If we can seek the child within and allow ourselves to experience the feelings that we were not allowed to experience as a child, as adults, we could learn how to be the true mechanics of our own life. Like, we can be the CEOs of our own life. We can learn to validate our own selves, and we can learn to then have compassion for other people. And so we learn to say things like, how are you? Oh, you don't agree with what I'm saying? Okay, that's cool. You have a right not to agree with me, and not be offended. We can walk with our heads high, even though Mary Sue is talking about us, because we know Mary Sue is only projecting criticism onto us that she's experienced in her own life. So we can offer her that compassion because we've had compassion for ourselves, because we know that we judged others because we were judged. And so the goal really has to be, dear one, to seek the child within. within us first, and then it will be easier for us to see the child within all human beings. We've got to seek oneness. Oneness with self, mind, body, and soul first. And then we can seek compassion. Then we can seek oneness in one another. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful when you think about it. So, it is difficult for us to feel our feelings because we have been taught to disassociate from our feelings. It happens organically because it's the way the brain's wired, where we are wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. If I bump my head when I'm a child, or if I cry and mother responds lovingly, I am taught that it is good to express my feelings. If I have a need and I am shamed for that need, I am taught that there is a lot of pain associated. The brain associates pain with expressing that pain. So my brain will say, don't do that. Don't tell how you feel. Don't tell people how you feel. Pretend you're okay, because that makes them happy. Now, emotionally, we want to make other people happy. We're seeking our parents' validation. Very normal. Not our fault, dear one. That's what all babies do. They seek their parents. We don't know they're messed up. We just want their validation. They could be mommy dearest. They could be some horrible, horrible father figure. We don't know they're horrible people. We just want them to love us. So, psychologically, we're seeking their validation. And so, if there's pain associated with having a need or a want, then the brain will say, don't have a need or a want, disassociate, disassociate, get small, get small, get small. And instead of get big, be who you are. Because there will be more pain associated with expressing how you feel, and less pain with making yourself shrink. Dear ones, I really, really hope that this has helped you not feel crazy. Like, don't feel, if you feel crazy, accept that you feel crazy, and then try to figure out why it is you feel crazy. If you have been taught that your feelings don't matter, that's going to make you crazy, because you came here to feel. Because you, as a feeling being that was intended to come here to tap into the way you feel, so that you could figure out what you want to do with your life. What you want to do with your life. What the hell do you want to do with your life? What makes you happy? What kinds of things, make your skin tingle? What kind of things get you excited when you talk about them? Those are all feelings. Those are all feelings, and they're all unique. What kind of things upset you? What kind of news footage upsets you? What kind of conversations upset you? You have to ask yourself these feelings so that you can start building boundaries. So you can start saying, no, I don't like hanging out with them. No, I like hanging out with them. No, I don't want to do that, but I'd like to do that. Without learning to tap into your feelings, you stay cognitive. You stay intellectual. You stay on the surface of the water. Right? You stay on the surface. You're out here, taking all the information in from the outside. I'll be a nurse. That's what I did. No, I almost had a nervous breakdown. I'll be a cop. My brother almost had a nervous breakdown. We did those things because that's what we were taught. Dear ones, I hope this has helped you. Please keep your comments coming. I bow to the love and the light in you. Namaste.